Okay, pause. First of all, how many of us walk away from an argument or a conversation and we like, yes, I said everything I wanted to say. In fact, that never happens. You're on the car driving like, man, I should have said. We get a chance to predetermine what our next step looks like because we are creating it. So if we're rehearsing in our mind that negative outcome, we're preparing the way for it. Okay, pause. First of all, how many of us walk away from an argument or a conversation and we like, yes, I said everything I wanted to say. In fact, that never happens. You're on the car driving like, man, I should have said this and I should have said this. So we're replaying what we could have said. So imagine you're headed into a conversation and you're rehearsing what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and then I'm going to tell them this. When we show up for that conversation, we've prepared the way. So our energy, our vibration has already set the tone for what that conversation is going to be. So of course, it's going to be a difficult one because we've prepared the way for it to be so. Now, I'm not preaching, y'all. I mean, yeah, I might be preaching, but I'm talking to myself as well. There are circumstances where I'm actively breathing through the outcome, but what I haven't done is visualize the beauty in it, visualize things working out, visualizing this being a harmonious experience. I'm imagining, okay, how do I navigate? Why are we doing that? What's powerful about that is we often bifurcate or separate our desire from what we think God might want for us. I can tell you why we often have that. I remember I was praying so hard, y'all, for my wife. I was praying. I was like, okay, God, I'm ready for my wife. I thought things was going to work out in my current situation. But in fact, what had happened was that relationship crashed and burned. What I went through was a process of cleansing and preparation. So when she did arrive, I was thankful. It was like a beautiful story. I'll share with y'all one day. But after having gone through the experience of that big ask, I was like, okay, nah. What I discovered this morning was I've actually put a cap on what I've been asking God for out of fear. Fear that my life is going to transform, fear that things aren't going to be as pleasant. And it's funny how change works. Like change is going to happen whether or not we're in our current situation. It's going to happen. So if we decide to stay at that job, to stay in that relationship, to stay in that car, to stay in that duplex or townhome, no matter if we say, okay, I just want to be comfortable, comfort does not come in the resistance to allow change to happen. In our staying, the world around us is going to shift and it's never going to look the same. And so that change is inevitable. So we might as well embrace the change, be in that flow, and why not get what you're desiring as you expand? I actually have been putting a cap on what I've been asking for. So I got these big dreams that I haven't even fully allowed myself to process out of fear that by reaching toward those dreams that the world that I know is going to unravel. That is connected to our desire to control outcome. How deep is that? Like how many of us are connecting the need to control to our not asking for what it is that we desire? And that's what it really comes down to. Our need to control the circumstances around us inhibit us from allowing what is divinely ours. We heard these stories all the time. One story is a guy gets to heaven. All these rooms are filled with everything that he wanted. And he was like, God, you saw me suffering. Why didn't you give it to me? And God said, it was here for you. You just didn't ask. In my discovery, I'm like, all right, I am going to relinquish the need to control, which is knowing what's coming next, and surrender to what is divinely mine. Michael Beckwith shares in his podcast, Take Back Your Mind. He says, the desires of your heart is actually God's will for your life. How deep is that? Whatever we desire is actually what God wants for us. I can mention the Tesla because that was something that I wanted. I don't know if it was necessarily a dream car, but it was something that I was like, okay, I'm driving a lot. I want to feel good when I show up. I want to feel fly. And also I want to have something that's cost effective. The byproduct was it was also kind of good for the environment, but there's a recent study that came out that said electric cars are just as bad. Anyway. We won't do politics. I don't know if I so much visualized it, but I gotta tell you y'all, I was prepped up for it. I did every piece of research on that car. I knew what the features did. I knew how to maintenance it. By the time I saw that car at the dealership, it was like, this is mine. And I knew it was the answered prayer. A really famous study which looked at 3 different groups. The first group didn't practice. They had no improvement doing free throws of basketball. The second group that practiced every day for 30 days, they had, I think, a 24% increase. And the third group that didn't practice but visualized every day for 30 days, they had a 23% proficiency increase. One visualizing and meditating and allowing that thing to express themselves. By the time they physically did it, it was just muscle memory. It just lays down over and over and over again the power of seeing it, because we are creating it. The thing about ministerial school lessons, you actually don't just do book work, you're expected to experience it. And so I'm baby steps in visualization. Now, the unspoken truth about visualization is that what happens if you're desiring something that's not aligned with your authentic self? Now, we're surrounded by evidence of that. Check on this video right here where we explore the spiritual foundation of authenticity. All right, y'all, as always, it's good connecting. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.